everybody for coming out today. I know it's a very, very busy time of the year, and I appreciate you so much for all you've been doing, all you will be doing, and hope that this not only will help you with your students, but will help you with yourself as well. So a little bit of self-assessment tools for all of us to use. So I do have a little bit.ly link down there, and Matt's going to drop that into the chat towards the end, but feel free to jump on and go along with me while we're together here. Thank you for putting in the chat where you're from. I love seeing that. We've got some New Yorkers in the house, Chicagoites, people all across Illinois, South, Northeast, and West. So welcome. Please feel free to jump in anytime if you want to have a comment, talk, if you want to take this in a different direction. I'm willing to bend and flex with you. Like Matt said, I'm Ann Kasa, and it's a pleasure to meet you. Here's a little bit about me. I've been with the LTC as an instructional technology coach now for a full school year. Prior to that, I was an instructional coach near Joliet in a district called Troy for 8 years. And before that, I've been a reading specialist, a classroom teacher in 2nd grade, 5th grade, and 6th grade. So I've held a few roles. I am married with 2 cats who love to do yoga with me, where we love to go on excellent adventures to mountains and deserts and everywhere in between. As far as technology goes, I'm a Google certified coach, a Nearpod coach, and a Cami hero, to name a few. I'm also a member of the Leaders for Just Schools. I went through that program year 1 last year. I'm in year 2 this year. I've been through Breathe for Change's yoga teacher and S.E.L. facilitator training. So I am a registered yoga teacher and an S.E.L. facilitator. And I went through Mindful Practices S.E.L. certified educator program. All highly recommended. Loved every minute of all of them. So please let me know if you have any questions about those, where they have a lot of resources. Both of these places here, Breathe for Change and Mindful Practices, on their websites have a ton of free resources for teachers. I know Breathe for Change does a free yoga class online every Monday night for educators, and they also have weekly webinars about how to bring more of these strategies into the classroom. So feel free to check out either one of those. So as we all know, in our field, we are constantly being asked to multitask. We're probably answering 1,000 questions a day, making 1,000 different decisions, and it can leave our mind looking like this guy over here as compared to our dog friend over here who's just being present and in the moment. So we ask ourselves, are we mindful currently, or are we being mindful? So to get the most out of today, I asked, if at all possible, to try and let go of all of these things up here, all the lists, all the to-dos, and come be present with us. So single tasking, there are some ways to practice that even while we're walking, just monitoring our footsteps. When our right foot goes, our left foot goes, our right foot goes. So just in our head, just right, left, and just feeling your foot hitting the floor. If we're sitting in a chair, we can just feel our weight on the chair. If we are eating, we can pay attention to our senses. When you think about it, even when we take a shower, our mind is usually going. So I always ask people, what does your shampoo smell like? So just take a minute to do that single tasking and focus on what we're doing when we can, because there are so many times in the day when we're off multitasking. So today we're going to practice one that helps us get a little focused. This is a mindful line drawing activity. You can do this with tech. I say if you have an iPad, you can open up Drawing Pad, and kids can use their fingers. You can use high-tech paper, pencil, or if you don't have anything handy, you can use your finger on the desk and just make an imaginary line. There's very few rules when it comes to mindful line drawing activity. All it is once your pen starts moving, keep it moving, and your line cannot cross itself. So that's it. So what we're going to do is please take that moment to find your device that you would like to work on, whether it be paper and pen, an iPad, an imaginary desk. However, if you are driving, the car should not be used to make your mindful line. Go ahead and focus and listen for a moment. I'm going to set our timer here for 1 minute. And again, starting at the top of the page, middle of the page, side of the page, wherever feels good for you, keep that line moving and just don't let it cross itself. Let's take a minute to focus ourselves in here. And now that our time is up, I always just add some petals to the end of my flower and to the end of my line and make it look like a little flower. So there's mine. And I always give us a chance for reflection here and just say, if you were able to partake in our mindful line drawing activity, how do you feel at the end of it versus how you felt in the beginning of it? You can go ahead and put it in the chat or the Q&A. I know I feel a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more focused. And then when would you see a good time to use this in your classroom or in your role? I made a little mistake there. I didn't ask what your roles were. So if it left us feeling focused, when would it be a good time to bring this into the classroom? A transition time, starting the day. How about right before an assessment? I think that could be a good time if we know that we have some kind of big test coming up and we're maybe a little nervous about it. Or after some kind of big excitement, something really exciting got announced, and we need to bring everybody back. Thank you for taking a moment to single task with me and to reflect on that. I hope you can feel free to bring that to others. It's a great way to just get focused in and start getting ready for our work together. So today, that work together includes ways to provide learners opportunities to practice that self-awareness and build self-management skills. Those are two of CASEL's intrapersonal pieces, and then they have the interpersonal pieces as well. We're going to open up a line of communication between students and staff, and we're going to create a situation for learners to move from being consumers to producers of technology. And again, at any moment, feel free to stop me and shout out a question, throw it in the chat. Matt can stop me if I don't see it. So when we think about CASEL's competencies, this is their wheel, and it has social emotional learning here in the middle. And these two in orange are those intrapersonal, the ones that have to do with introspective that we're going to be focusing on today. But they do impact the interpersonal ones here, because if we're not managing ourselves, our social awareness and our relationship skills, they're going to be impacted. So will our responsible decision making. So these kind of, in my opinion at least, are the basis and the foundation for that social emotional learning piece in the classroom. And as we look out at these rings, you can see it goes from S.E.L. instruction and classroom climate, school-wide culture, authentic partnerships, and aligned learning opportunities in the community. I'm going to take us on a little trip here to CASEL's page. So much amazing research can be found, resources can be found. This link here is going to take us to an interactive wheel. And it is that wheel that you just saw the picture of. But here, if I click on self-awareness, it's going to tell me a lot more. So integrating personal and social identities. And it's going to give a quick video for us to take a look at to learn a little bit more about self-awareness. So if you would like to brush up on what any of these mean or what any of them are, feel free to come in and take a look to learn more about that. So if you're not too sure, how can this help me with authentic partnerships? What does that mean? So reaching out to family and caregivers, engaging here can help with some more ideas as to how to reach out to them and get into homes and coordinating family services with community partners. But like I said, today we're going to focus mainly on self-awareness and self-management, managing one's emotion, becoming aware of one's emotion. And it all starts for us with a simple Google form. But remember, simple isn't always easy. But in this case, It's not that hard. We can use a Google form to create a daily morning check-in to collect and respond to student SEL data. Now, I know a lot of us have already been doing this for a while, so I enjoy taking something that we know, something that we've already started, and if you haven't started, then let's start next year. We'll make that a nice August, September goal. And then we're going to build onto it a little bit as we get used to it. As we look over the information that the students provide us inside of this form, we can make contact with them and know who we need to talk to right away. It builds trust. And like I said earlier, it opens up a channel of communication that is so special and incredibly sacred. Here's an example of what it looks like. So it just says, good morning, welcome to a new day of learning together. Please complete this form. So you can keep this form up in your Google Classroom where they have access to it every day, and it can be amended to fit the needs of any learners using maybe some of the emojis from Thoughtful Classroom. We can use little video clips in there. However it would best fit your kids is wonderful. And so the students will start, and again, good old moat, they can use that if they are having a hard time with their typing skills. That their name goes here. Is there something you'd like to talk to me about right away? Yes, please. No, thank you. Notice how I'm using complete sentences and also using manners, not just a yes or a no. And if they click yes, I know that right away, I need to come talk to that student because it's something they see as urgent. If they click no, but there's still something they'd like to tell me about that's not urgent, they're going to type that in here like, yes, can you please come talk to me? They might tell you what it's about, they might not, but just be able to check in with them later. You know, they have something they want to tell you. And then we ask, what is your mood like this morning? I'm neutral headspace. I'm ready to start learning. Let's go with the day. Hurrah. Maybe they're walking in a little bit overstimulated. They need to calm down a bit before they're ready to learn. That can happen for many reasons. It can be a negative emotion, or it can be a very positive, high intense emotion. Maybe they just found out they're going to Disney World next week. Who knows? But they're really overstimulated. It's not always a negative. So I'd like to keep a focus on that it's not always a negative emotion that we need to calm. It can be excitement. And especially with our learners, no matter what age they are, they're still learning how to communicate that. So keeping that in mind, that our kids may not have the vocabulary to tell us why they're feeling what they are, but they may be able to say, yeah, you know what, I'm super stimulated. Even though they don't know if it's like super mad, happy, it gets a little confusing and messy, but they can tell, okay, yes, I need to calm down. Or they're really slow. Oh, they didn't sleep well. They may not be feeling well. Something may have them down. Now we know that we need to energize. And again, it's not always that they're sad. They just might be, man, I could really just use a day at the park today. And I'm sure we can all understand that one. And again, if words are too much, we can bring in smiley faces, we can bring in different things that the students will know. But remember, they will see this every day. Because if we put this up in the Google Classroom and we allow them to give us more than one response, they'll be able to keep going back in and filling in the same form over and over. So they will get used to seeing it. So I do always say, add the words. We can always add a picture with it, but get them used to seeing these words. Can't hurt, right? So this is what it would look like for them every day to go in and enter that information about how they're feeling. So once we get that information collected, that's their self-assessment piece. It's that first CASEL competency of that intrapersonal aspect of looking inward, assessing where they feel. Now, when they hit that submit button, you know how when you hit your submit button and that form pops up and it says, thank you for filling out this form. That's very editable. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is moving forward and adding on now. That's my Pilates teacher's favorite words. Once we finally get comfortable with being uncomfortable, she goes, oh, adding on now. And she makes us do something else that, again, teaches us how to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. So adding on now to that Google form, They've practiced their self-awareness. Now let's give them an opportunity to practice their self-management skills. We do that, like I said, when they open that, when they finish that form and they hit submit, we're going to edit that piece at the end that says, thank you for filling out the form. And we're going to give them some direction. We're going to say something like, now that you've completed this form, please follow this link to go do this activity. For instance, the activity that I included in the form, it's a slide deck that has cool down and energizer strategies that can support that self-regulation to help learners prepare for the day. So that link is there, and I make it a forced copy. So that way not everybody's going to the same one, and they have their own, because at the very end of it, as you'll see in a moment, there's a piece in there that keeps it for just them. Now remember, in the form, all that information is being collected and sent back to us. But when they get the slide, it gives them a chance, if they just need to get something out, they can make that happen. So I would like to take a moment and have you try this. I'm going to put the link to this form in the chat. And give you a moment to try it out and see where it takes you. Those of you who are just listening right now, if you're driving or you can't get to the form, no worries. We are going to go through it together as well. So here you can see, what is your name? They can put in their name. They can say their name using Mote. Is there something you want to talk to me about right away? Yes. And then here, I'm going to say no because I have something. Yes, I'm already talking. I want you to come talk to me. How are you feeling? I'm a little bit stressed out today. And then once I hit submit, this is where I get my little note. Use this link to create a copy of a slide deck with a few practices to try out and get yourself ready for today. Feel free to submit this form again if after trying a couple of these ideas changes your readiness to learn. So right there, we're giving them the opportunity to self-regulate and come back. Now they can put in a different answer on their forms, and they can change their mind, not change their mind, but change how they feel about the day. But we will still have it time-stamped, the data that they put in first. So when I click here, again, you're going to see it has that forced copy. So I'm going to make a copy. And here's what that slide deck looks like. Let's start the day off right. Use this slide deck after you check in to help find the proper headspace to get ready for learning. And so are you ready to start the day, or do you need to calm down? And again, if you'd rather have emojis here, please feel free to put, like I always say, try and put both, some words and some emojis. And that way they'll be able to come in and still see something familiar without having to do all the reading. So let's say they needed to come in and try and calm down a little bit. They can click here for a few minutes of mindful breathing. So breathing in and out along with the blue ball. It's a little 3-minute activity. And even 30 seconds of it is a huge benefit. That's something you can do with your whole class as well. And again, I use safe YouTube links, so that way they get stopped here when they're done. Another choice that they can have is to click here, and this will look familiar to you. It's that mindful minute. So they may already know these rules because you've already done it before, but it gives them the timer and they can do this on their own without you. And with them being able to do this, they can have access to this all the time since they now have a copy of this slide deck. And then they can access it maybe a couple hours later, they felt their energy spike, they need to calm down, they can come back to this and do it again, and they can almost use this as their timer. And it has students modeling what it looks like to do this. This came from Mindful Practices. They have a plethora of these 1-minute energizers and cool downs on their YouTube channel. Highly recommend using those to get started, to start making that bank and to find things to put in to that slide deck. All of them that Mindful Practices put out includes students modeling the behavior. So let's say that student, they need to get some energy. Those two options aren't going to energize, they're going to calm. But let's take a look here. This is another one of Mindful Practices 1-minute pieces. It's called a sun sequence. It's from some yoga movements, like a sun salutation is what you would call it in yoga. But here, students are able to stay seated at their desk, and it just takes them through and shows them the different movements, different ways to breathe. And this is just going to get us ready for the day, get us stretched out. And our students can see each other doing this, yes, but we're all doing it at the same time. And once they get used to seeing it, it may not be as distracting as if someone just started standing up and doing a sun sequence in the middle of the classroom. But here, again, it fully shows and demonstrates how to do everything. And last but certainly not least, this is one of my favorites. If they need some energy, they can click there. And this is the front seat of a roller coaster. I always tell the kids to go ahead and put it full screen. Headphones, please. But it just kind of builds up that energy level. And it just shows going up. Has those drops. So that's just a little sample of what can come in here. I gave 2 options. They'll get to know them. And here, the reason why I made this a forced copy for them to each have their own is there's something other called a Buddha board. And I love the Buddha board. It's a board about this big, and it sits on a little tray, and it has a paintbrush with it. You dip that paintbrush in water, and you could brush words or pictures or anything on. And as the water evaporates, it slowly disappears. And so it's a very calming Zen activity. We can just breathe and watch things disappear. Here, it's similar. They won't disappear, but the kids, they can type out whatever they want. And I always make sure they know that I cannot see this unless they want me to. So if they want me to see this, they can share it with me. I will read it, but this is for them. And it gives them the freedom to type out whatever it is they need to get out, and then delete it. Type it out again, delete it. Try different fonts, see how it feels inside of themselves to just get it out, and to find a way, again, to get rid of it. So here is that, again, self-management part. We assessed on the form, we're managing on the slide deck. So step by step, that's right here. You're going to get the bit.ly, but I wanted you to see it's all laid out for you here. 4 steps to get that going. I'll show you what it looks like. So this is that form, but in its editable version. I always have, I didn't that time. I usually have a hard time saying editable. I usually say edible, but I got it. Yay. This is the editable version of that form. So if we come over here to settings, and we come on down to presentation, this confirmation message, this is usually where you'll see, thank you for filling out this form. If we click edit, I can now put in my own directions and my own link. So once I get that in there, making sure that I click save. This is the big part here, because not many things on Google, there's not many parts of Google where it asks us to click save. This is one of them. So let's make sure we hit that save button. And now that message is there. And this can be used, I use this every time I put a form out. Instead of just that generic one, I could say, thank you so much. If you want to see something funny, follow this link. If you want something, I'll put a link in there. It doesn't take that much time. Or I just say, Mrs. Kasa appreciates your time. And just makes it a little bit more personal. So then you can come back to the questions and you still have this editable form here. This is where you can change these pictures, change those words. And if you ever need help, even starting a Google form, please reach out. I don't disappear after the webinar stops. You'll have all my contact information. So feel free to reach out and we'll have fun making this together. Any questions so far about the forms and the slides? Okay. So then we are going to talk about why. Why is this important? It's always important to hear our kids. This year, I've been working very closely with a 6th grade classroom, and that teacher gave me permission to use some of their data. I did eliminate the names, but here are some quotes from students who said that they needed to talk to us. This one said, I didn't have enough sleep, so if I don't raise my hand, can you please not pick me? I would like to participate when my hand is raised. Now remember, this is a 6th grade class, the middle of, the upper grades where we have a lot going on with puberty, hormones. The kids don't want to say things out loud that other kids can overhear. So this gives them the chance to send it to you privately. I am on my 1-week period. So like if I go to the bathroom a lot, that's why. Huge. This girl did not want to say this out loud. Imagine that being overheard by a bunch of other 6th graders. Or imagine this, there is a rule in the building about how many times you can go to the bathroom during one part of the day. But if that teacher, and this girl, she needed to go to the bathroom at least once an hour. And if the girl would have asked and the teacher would have enforced the rule, that could have been very embarrassing. But this student trusted that teacher enough to send this out there, and the teacher was able to respect that. It was powerful. That I had a bad morning. I want the rest to be great. So important to know. This child came in, something happened. They may not want to talk about it, but they sent this in that part that says, do you have anything you want to talk to me about today? It wasn't marked as urgent, but it was marked yes. So I know later in the day, check in with this one. This one had a bad start. Let's make sure that day gets better because they want it to be better. Another one was, yes, I would like to talk about my grades. Cool, let's talk about your grades. And so we were able to check in throughout the day or later on and say, what grades would you like to talk about? And there were several other ones similar to this that we were able to pull out, but these were just some of the most impactful ones that I found. Oh yes, the small purple icon that showed up, that was Mote, M-O-T-E, and it's an extension, it's freemium. You get 20 free Mote recordings a month. And so yes, you can use Mote inside of Google Forms. Oh, very nice. Look at y'all. Yay. Again, any questions or anything you want to know more about, put it out there and we'll chat. Let's take a look at what this form looks like. So this is what the other side of her form looks like that she uses every day. Again, I did take the names out for privacy. But something I like to do every day is there something you would like to talk to me about right away? You can see we have it conditionally formatted here to turn blue if it says yes, please inside that cell. Oh, what I like to do is I like to sort the sheet Z to A. All of my yes pleases are here. I do that every day, and then I'll sort it back over here. There's where the timestamp would be. I would sort it again by the timestamp to make sure that I could see everybody's for that day. But this is, I need to talk to you right now. You can see there weren't many. And this is several months of data here. There weren't many, but it did pop up there. And then over here too, you can see that this is what they wanted to talk to us about. But even the ones that said, no, thank you. Look at this. You are so sweet. Yes, I would like to talk about my grades. Yes, they wanted to talk about this person. Yes, I would like to check on my grades. Yes, please. So sometimes they don't quite tell you exactly what they want to talk to you about. You can see they came in overstimulated. They have something they want to talk to you about. This one feels unengaged. They want to talk to us about something. This one's sister is sick. She has to continue for 10 days. They're overstimulated. Look at everything we get to learn about our students within 10 minutes of them walking in the door. And it's recorded. If something gets put in here that flags that flag inside of that teacher brain, and you know you need to get help, it is recorded. It's timestamped and it's here. It can go up that MTSS chain. We can call the social workers. A lot of times students will type things that they don't want to say. It gives them that opportunity, and it gives us the opportunity to hear it. And this one, look at how it's building that relationship. Well, not really, but thanks for the offer. They know we're there. Well, I'm going to do some of my missing work. They want to talk to you about that. There's not anything I want to let you know. Well, thank you. This one wanted to let the teacher know that you're the funniest teacher I've ever had. Yay. So it's not always going to be bad news that you see when you open this up. So please know that you will see some fun things on here too. And when you introduce this to your students, make that recommendation. Because as we know, especially our little ones, they want to tell us everything great that happened. Oh, I went to grandma's. I'm going to go get ice cream. I got a new dog. And oh my gosh, they can put it all right here, especially again, using Mote. They can use that recording, or they can even use that if you wanted to have them, you can have it linked to a Google Doc, where if they want to write something to you, they can use that speech to text tool. If they're too young yet to get that typing down, there's a lot of ways to get this information to you. So that open form of communication, that's using Google Forms and Google Slides together. That hits the intrapersonal CASEL competencies of self-awareness and self-regulation. Here are a couple of examples of virtual calm spaces. So we're going to move on to a different place here. But I want you to keep that slide in mind where it had the options for energizing or cooling down as we move through here. So this one links us to a virtual calm space. I used to teach a mindfulness for educators class in my old district. And here was one of the final projects that a team put together, and they gave me permission to share wide and far. So I take them up on it. So please feel free. This will be yours. It's a gift. Enjoy it. Make a copy of it for yourself. It gives directions on how to use this virtual calm space with your students. So what is it? Who can use this? When can this be used? This can be something that's more on their own. You can set up a station in the room. I've seen that. I've seen the happy place where there's just a device set up over there. The kids can bring their headphones and they can sit down. There's a timer they can set, and they can go in and visit the virtual calm space. However you want it used in your building is in your classroom is completely up to you. And this is also, when it's introduced, I'd like to take this time to remind people that what calms one person may not calm another. For instance, some people really love taking a bubble bath. To me, ugh, grossed out. It's like me sitting in a bunch of my own soup. So that's not for me, but for other people, they can sit in there for hours and read books, have a great time. Wonderful. I am very happy that they found their calm. But that's something that I like to tell the students, try a lot of different options because we never know what's going to work for us until we find it. So this is a little bit more along the lines of what you would leave in for students. I would take this out once you're done instructing your students, because the kids, I mean, it won't hurt leaving it in there, but that's more for teachers. But each slide has its own assortment of links and videos. So let's say we wanted to see some sound and music. Here we can go visit a coral reef. We can make it full screen. It's 11 hours and 11 minutes of watching these fish floating around, nibbling on coral. So practicing some breathing techniques during this time. We have the music, so again, headphones, and just this visual. Look at this guy. And they can just kind of sit there. It's slow paced, it's gentle, and it can help us again, single task, catch up with our breath, and calm down. There's even a sea turtle who pops up, makes a move in here. So that's kind of where that sound and music comes in. There's guitar, there's rainforest, rain. Ask them to try a little bit of all of them and see what works. We have visual relaxation. So here, if somebody likes to watch falling snow, all of these do have sound with it as well, but they can mute it if the sound bothers them. But this could be very calming for someone. They may be like, oh, I love the sound of snow. I love to watch snow. And they can imagine something where they just greatly enjoy sitting in the window watching snow. To me, not as much. I'm more of the tropical beach girl, but they have everything from like a calming bottle. Here's our little sea turtle buddy, kaleidoscopes. And again, some people would find this very relaxing. Others may not. You can see it goes as if we were in the middle of a kaleidoscope. I've watched kids sit and stare at this for their whole 5 minutes, their mouth open, their eyes open. And they come back recharged, rejuvenated. Lots of fun. We have some mindfulness activities that they can try any one of these. And most of these come from Headspace. Educators can get free access. Oh, I don't remember right now if it's Calm or Headspace, but I know one of them gives you free access completely, and one of them gives you a free month. Also, the Insight Timer is free for everybody. That one has a whole bunch of amazing resources as well. So the Insight Timer is free. But here, if we take a look, this one will give us a body scan. This one will give us a relaxing meditation, a 5-minute meditation, a way to unwind. So all of those. And we have 2 slides of mindfulness. Oh my gosh, I love this one. This is where Elmo talks about belly breathing to recenter himself, because when he gets angry, he feels like a different monster. It's so you can see, we've all seen those little monsters before, even in our own mirrors, right? So this, like I said in the very beginning, some of this will be used for our students, but a lot of it can be used for us and our students. This graduated breathing technique, all of these are wonderful choices. Maybe you have someone who wants to be a little bit more creative. Now on these, in order to access them, we have to click on the words because that's where the links are. Who remembers these? Oh my gosh, so much fun. And we can change it to change the design. We can add a color. The students love this one. Very calming, repetitive, and you can see progress happening. We also have a movement slide, a lot of go noodle. These are going to be for kids to stand and move. So make sure if they're able to do this, that they have some space, because they will need some space to move around. And you may say, you know what, we're going to keep the movement slide for when we're doing this all together. Or we can even just add some seated chair yoga poses in here. That's fine as well. But I know if it's in the middle of like math class and the child knows that they need a break and they go off and they're doing like tree pose, that might be distracting to the others. Or, you know, it just might be part of class. It all depends on what works for your room that year. So you can see here is the whole slide deck. And you could take from this slide deck and you can add it to this one very easily, changing these out to ones that you know work best. And a beautiful thing about here is adding a new slide. This is where we can take our students from being consumers of technology to producers. Let's ask them what works for them. Let's ask them to start making some recordings. Maybe they can use Flipgrid. Maybe they can record a little video at home of their loved one saying, I love you, you've got this, maybe reading to them their favorite story, a little note of encouragement. They can put that here and they can have their own little addition. So if every child created their own virtual calm space, after they use this one to get used to it and know what calms them, it becomes so powerful. I know one of our other coaches has been using some virtual calm spaces, and she was showing the kids making their own little like Bitmoji virtual calm spaces on a slide, and it was so cute. They were really engaged and working towards that self-regulation piece. So the sky's the limit with what the kids can add here and what you can add to it and what family can add to it. We're working out of those bubbles now. Remember that CASEL competency wheel and those circles that were coming out? We're involving families. We can bring those family members in and say, you know, maybe the child was having difficulty listening at the time. Say, oh, you know what? I think on your slide, maybe you can go listen to some encouraging words from your loved one. And then they can go in and do that. Or they can maybe have a picture there of their puppy, or maybe their cat's meowing. Whatever helps them. The sky's the limit here. It's just held up by our creativity. Another virtual calm space I'd like to share comes from the TCEA. Their forum, I found this get posted in their forum. They use another Google tool called Google Sites, and it's very similar to the slide deck, but here they're just using Sites. How amazing would this be for students to create on their own? A Google site where it's a virtual calm space where they have sounds and music, relaxation, guided meditations. So again, this is yours to use and love and change, but please just move forward with it. And I would love to hear how you move forward with it. Again, you have all of my contact information. Share with me. And then next time I do a webinar like this, I can share your ideas and we can make this grow together, make it very organic. You know, gratitude is the best attitude. We have gratitude journal prompts built right in, games and puzzles. So come here to find some more information. And again, going across the top, if you want to see what those gratitude journals look like, they're right here. If you have Cami can help with filling these in. We can make it a Jamboard template, all kinds of things that we can do. So those are our two virtual calm spaces. Next steps that I would love to see happen is working together to create idea banks. So maybe the whole class can just have a place, like one slide deck where they can just dump all of their findings. Like, oh, this could be cool, this could be cool. And just have them out in slides, find some way to keep them organized. And you can even have staff members, if you're not ready to bring students in yet, or if they're maybe a little too young, you can have staff members who have access to this slide deck, and just the more ideas, the better. And then we can springboard off of each other and just keep building and building and building. Moving students from consumers to producers, invite them to create their own tools because they know what works best for them. Again, we can use Moat to record loved ones talking, themselves talking. Please, here's an idea, make a note. One of my favorite things to do at the beginning of the year is to ask students what words they would like to hear when they're having a tough day. I write them down and I keep them in somewhere safe. And when they're having a tough day, I will hand them their words. They're laminated because if they get tore up, you know, all right, I do have a second set, but just a way to start the year with that self-assessment and self-regulation already in the thoughts. But keep that in mind. Start the year by asking, what words would you like to hear? Have them written down. If you have a 3D printer, make a plaque with those words on them. The sky's the limit. I have one more resource to leave for you here. And this is from Common Sense Education. It has grade bands that go across, and it has the 5 CASEL competencies here. It says, like, for our littles, my feelings when using technology. So that self-awareness is, how are they feeling? You know, recognizing their own feelings, their own experiences. Coming down to that self-management piece in this 3-5 band, balancing their media. How does what they're doing, their media choices, impact the way that they feel? Coming down here to that 6-8 band, who are you talking to online? Getting into that digital citizenship piece, that media literacy piece, it blends with SEL beautifully. Character education, it all comes in together into this teaching, you know, call it what you may. It's modeling, it's teaching, it's helping our kids where they need to go. Their relationship skills, reflecting on how their relationships are affected by devices and the internet. Making those decisions about what to post, who to post, who to tag in pictures, who to not tag in pictures. Do we post a picture with our friends in it? If not, if we didn't get to ask everybody permission. And then just social awareness, understanding how online meanness can make people feel. Cyberbullying, what is it? And as we move forward, what to do about it and how to report it. So this is an amazing tool right here with a lot of great ideas from Common Sense Education. So thank you so much to them for putting this together. So we have closing time coming in. When we started, we had our focus activity of our mindful line drawing. So I'd like to request everyone to join me again in some single tasking, some focusing in, and find yourself, so long as you're not driving and so long as it's safe and you're comfortable with it, just finding a seated position that's comfortable with possibly the feet flat on the floor, and just maybe taking a soft gaze with your eyes looking down, maybe closing your eyes if that's comfortable to you. And I ask this question many times, how do you want to show up this week? Maybe to your personal life, maybe at work, in the classroom. How do you want to show up? Do you want to be fun? Do you want to be engaging? Do you want to be prepared or organized or not fall out of the classroom? How do you want to show up? And in one word, what sums up what you need? So if you want to show up as this organized, you know, I'm ready to go person, what do you need in order to show up that way? Now let's get that one word. So if you want to be organized, want to show up, well, that one word will be schedules. I'm going to be scheduling. I'm going to be something like organization, mindful, fully present. And when you get that one word that sums up what you need in order to show up in that way, let's put 2 words in front of it. The word I am, because you already have everything inside of you that you need to meet any challenge that comes your way. You were put on this earth for a purpose and with a purpose. It's all inside of you. It's all there. You just need to connect to it. Sometimes it's easier than others. Sometimes it's tough. But if we want to be engaging, which means we need some more energy, You're just going to say, I am energized, and we're going to make it happen. So I'm inviting you to take 3 collective breaths together. We're on the inhale, we're going to say, I am. Then we're going to exhale that word. So let's go ahead, take a nice deep breath through the nose, filling the lungs, thinking I am, and then exhaling super slowly through the mouth. Exhale that word either out loud or in your mind. And let's come together for a second time with a nice deep inhale through the nose, saying I am, and then exhaling slowly through the mouth, your word. And one more breath. Make this the biggest inhale of the day, stretching the rib cage, all that cartilage, we can feel our lungs expanding, saying I am, and then slowly, controlled, breathing out your word. Let's set that I am statement as our intention for today as we leave each other's company, and take time to focus our attention on our intention throughout the day, any chance we get. Please feel free to reach out anytime with questions or to share success stories with me. Your ideas, I love them. Bring them, they feed me. I get to learn more from them. They make my ideas better, brighter. They make my ideas grow. And I appreciate all the shares that you all have ever given me. So please, my email is here. My Twitter handle is there. I thank you. And I thank everybody for being here. I thank Matt for hosting us, the LTC, everybody. I appreciate you so much.